I'm ready for it. So, sequel to 300. 300 Rise of the Empire. Rise of an Empire and Rise of an Empire. I've struggled with the title because there's not really an Empire Rising so much in this movie. Random title. Uh-oh. Usually when a title has nothing to do with it, that's a bad sign. Hello, 30 Days of Night, Days of Darkness, which is another unnecessary sequel. So, another bad sign is when a sequel comes out well after its predecessor. 8 years. 8 years to go from 300 to 302. Uh-oh. That said, it wasn't bad, it's just okay. And that's kind of the problem here. So, but now this copy works fine, but I have now upgraded to the Blu-ray, so we watched the shinier version. So, 300 is a prequel, midquel, and sequel to 300. So, this one goes into a little bit about Xerxes' past, so you can, I guess, see how Empire Rise a little there, sort of, but, so, it kind of indicates that the main character of this one, Themistocles, was already pushing back against the king of the Persians when the Persians kind of came to the shores of Athens, or, Marathon. It's the shores of Marathon. So, he managed to kill the king there, and they say his biggest mistake was also not killing the king's son, Xerxes, who was right there on the boats also. Then, essentially, the next several years pass with Xerxes. You see his transformation, and with the help of of General Artemisia, of elevating him to the position of God King. You see pretty much her filling his head full of the fact that he's a god, while the king of the Persians, who passed away, said, yeah, don't mess with the Greeks, you have to be a god to fight them, so don't. So Artemisia's like, no, that was the challenge. You have to become a god. Artemisia is played by Eva Green, and she is the best part of this movie. She is great as this psychotic warrior was so determined so patriotic to her king and country, well, her new king and country, as she was Greek, now has been adopted into the Persians, that she's willing to do anything to get revenge on Greece and help the Persian Empire. So she helps elevate Xerxes to godhood. The rest of this is pretty much happening simultaneously while Xerxes is attacking the Persian, the Spartan 300. Artemisia's navy is going and attacking, where Themistocles is bringing his ships to try to fend her off, and it's essentially another standstill. So, that's all fine. A lot of the problems here, this is trying to be based off a graphic novel that doesn't exist. So this claims to be based off the graphic novel Xerxes, also by Frank Miller. Problem was, Xerxes wasn't written. And this one started with that, but then since that one wasn't written, they just started writing their own thing, and it became a completely original tale, but it still claims to be based on Xerxes. Then Frank Miller did later release Xerxes, but it came out actually after this movie. So, it's pretty much a two-man show, really, in this one, between Sullivan Stapleton's Themistocles and Eva Green's Artemisia. I will say, they did a good job getting a lot of the cast to reprise their role. Lana Headley's back as Queen Gorgo, and a lot of the other Spartans do reprise their roles. Rodrigo Santoro is back as Xerxes. The only person who's really missing is Gerard Butler. So they don't really show a lot of King Leonidas in this, but a lot of the other characters are back for it. So I will say that gives it points to a lot of these things, and like some characters' voices I was recognizing from watching 300 before the character even appeared. So, and I will say, I do like that this gives Queen Gorgo more of a role, and actually names her. The first one just kept calling her the Queen. But, and then this one continues on a little bit and shows essentially a later fight between the Greeks uniting and pushing back against the Persians, including getting Queen Gorgo and the Spartan navy to help out. The action's good. The fights are great. The action's fine in this movie. The story itself is only okay, and there's some strange choices, like Artemisia's seemingly obsession with Themistocles and trying to the point where she pretty much calls him over and sleeps with him. There's a random sex scene in this out of nowhere for two characters, which why Themistocles is going along with it, I have no idea. The movie is baffling. And while the soundtrack during the film is fine, right at then when you suddenly hit the end credits and a weird remix of War Pigs starts playing, it really takes you out to hear Ozzy's voice suddenly coming in. What are you doing, movie? That said, and the backstory they give for Artemisia is over the top for shock value, and it's to the point of being a bit uncomfortable with the implied abuses towards a very young girl. So, I watched some pretty gruesome exploitations, but that was still the implied scenes of this give a little. So be aware of that. For me, this one's 5 MacGuffins. Rise of the Empire is okay. It's better than I was expecting it to be for a legacy sequel coming down way later. Most of those flop hard, like 30 Days of Night 2. I was hard on. This movie is a lot better than that. It's fine, but 300 was good. This movie's fine. So it's kind of hard to keep up. All I got on this. Watch it or don't. You're not really missing anything here other than Ava Green being amazing in many ways. So it's worth it just for her. Just glowering over her troops and like, why won't someone bring me a victory? Is that so much to ask? She's doing like the Saturday morning cartoon villain thing and playing it great. So she's worth it. The rest of the movie is just okay. See if